June, streets across the world come alive with rainbows, marches, music, and celebration. Pride Month is an annual occasion that commemorates the history, resilience, and triumphs of the LGBTQIA plus community. But beneath the joyous parades and colorful flags lies a deeper, more powerful story, one of resistance, courage, community, and the unyielding demand to be seen and loved and to have equal human rights. Let us begin with a simple truth. Love is never a sin. Being fully oneself is not a crime, full stop. And inclusion is not optional, it is essential. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called by our faith to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person. That affirmation becomes especially important when the world still, all too often, denies that worth to our LGBTQIA plus siblings. So, how did Pride Month start? I have only been an ally for less than 10 years. I did not become an ally until my youngest son came out as gay in high school. I didn't know anything about Pride Month, never been to a Pride celebration. In these last few years, I've learned quite a bit. I've heard about Stonewall, I've heard the name Marsha P. Johnson, but I didn't really know the story. It turns out, though, that a lot of people don't really know the story. There are a lot of conflicting reports about how the Stonewall riots happened. But the struggle did not begin or end at Stonewall. It was built on decades of organizing by brave individuals and collectives who lived in the margins and spoke up long before it was safe to do so. From early 20th century thinkers like Magnus Hirschfeld, who was an LGBTQ advocate in Nazi Germany, to Henry Gerber, who started the Society for Human Rights in Chicago in 1924, which is the first known gay advocacy organization in the US, to the lesbian feminist collectives of the 1970s, to the ACT UP activists of the AIDS crisis. The history of LGBTQIA plus people is one of tenacity and truth-telling in the face of erasure. Today, I would like to focus on the story surrounding the Stonewall Uprising, which is a pivotal moment in the LGBTQIA plus history. I'm going to start with July 4th, 1965, which was a few years before. In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, about 40 people dressed in business attire picketed for gay rights outside Independence Hall. This was organized by the East Coast Homophile Organization, which included groups such as the Daughters of Bilitis and the Mattachine Society. This continued for the next 4 years. And then we get to June of 1969. And some things that you need to understand about that time is some things weren't necessarily illegal, but they were against what the police wanted you to do, and you could be arrested for these things. Public displays of homosexuality, like dancing and kissing in public, were illegal, leading to continued police harassment. The New York State Liquor Authority regulations classified gay bars as disorderly houses. Their liquor licenses were denied or revoked, allowing for frequent police raids. Many of these bars, including the Stonewall Inn, were owned by the mafia, who paid off police to avoid raids and be able to operate without a liquor license. So these were the only places that the gay community could get together and hang out and be themselves and dance and enjoy life and not have the fear. It was interesting, though, Stonewall welcomed drag queens who were not, they didn't receive such a great reception at other gay bars. But at Stonewall, everyone was welcome. It was also a nightly home to young, homeless gay youths. They would also use, they had a 3 pieces of clothing rule. When they would come in and raid the bars, if you did not have on 3 pieces of clothing that matched your assigned gender at birth, you could be arrested. So the LGBTQIA plus community had been dealing with this for some time. In the early hours of June 28th, 1969, police raided the Stonewall Inn for the second time in recent days, which was unusual. The police were paid by the mafia to tip them off when there would be raids. That didn't happen this time. They came in, they roughed people up, they put them in paddy wagons, and things got out of hand. As they started to let people go out of Stonewall, there was a group that started to gather outside of the LGBTQ plus community. And they would cheer as people came out. But there were also a few tussles that started. So some names that you might know. Marsha P. Johnson is thought to have thrown the first brick into the Stonewall Inn that kicked off the riots. She says that's not true. It wasn't her. She got there after everything started. Sylvia Rivera also sometimes is attributed to that. I, however, learned just last night in all of my research, I had not heard the name Stormy de Larveri. I found out last night that she may have been the one. She was a butch lesbian, they called at the time. She also was biracial, non-binary. She got into a tussle with police. She says that the police punched her and she punched them back. It is also said that she, and it may not have been her, it may have been somebody else, but somebody, as they were being forced into a police car, said, "Why won't anybody do something?" And so they did. Stormy also likes to say it was a rebellion. It wasn't a riot. It was a rebellion. It was an uprising. It was a civil rights disobedience. It was no damn riot. These protests went on for about 6 days after. These were a group of people who had enough. They had nothing else to lose. Their rights were being taken away. They were being fired from their jobs if they were outed. They couldn't love who they loved. They couldn't even dance with who they wanted. And they had enough. And they said, "We are not going to tolerate this anymore." And so this started the riots that continued for several days. I'm going to jump ahead now a year to 1970, where they gathered again for the first Gay Pride Liberation March in New York, Chicago, LA, and San Francisco. This was the first Pride Parade. The thing that I found really interesting, in 1973, just 3 years later, Sylvia Rivera, who was a trans woman of color, was booed on stage by her gay and lesbian siblings. I am struck by the lack of inclusion. She told them, "I have been beaten. I have had my nose broken. I have been thrown in jail. I have lost my job. I have lost my apartment for gay liberation. And you all want to treat me this way? What is wrong with you all? Think about that. You can't just care about the things that affect you. We are all interconnected. We are all one. If some of us don't have all of our basic human rights, none of us do. And as those rights are being taken away, you may think it doesn't affect you, but it might one day. And it should affect you because we are all one. Nobody is truly free until everyone is free. In 1979, these marches had grown. Over 100,000 people participated in the first national march for gay and lesbian rights. And then in 1999, President Bill Clinton officially declared June as Gay and Lesbian Pride Month. 2009, Obama declared it as LGBT Pride Month. And then in 2021, Biden declared it as LGBTQ plus Pride Month. We have made some progress. It feels like it's being taken away. Pride Month is more than a celebration. It's a memorial, a protest, and a vision for a world not yet realized. As Unitarian Universalists, it aligns with our faith's commitment to justice, equity, and the transformation of society. The Unitarian Universalist faith has long positioned itself as a home for those who seek truth freely, love widely, and act justly. Central to our tradition is a belief in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, the acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth. These are not abstract ideals. They are practices we must live, especially in how we welcome those who have been historically marginalized. Our faith's commitment to LGBTQIA+ inclusion has deepened over the years. In 1989, the Unitarian Universalist Association launched the Welcoming Congregation Program, an initiative that invites congregations to learn, reflect, and act in ways that affirm LGBTQIA+ people fully. Being a welcoming congregation means more than tolerance. It means transforming our spaces, languages, rituals, and leadership so that LGBTQIA+ people are embraced, seen, and centered. I am proud to announce that the Universalist Unitarian Church of Peoria is an official welcoming congregation. We are living in a time of resurgence in anti-LGBTQIA+ rhetoric and policy, particularly targeting transgender and non-binary people. Across the United States and globally, laws are being introduced that limit access to health care, restrict the rights of LGBTQIA+ students, and criminalize gender expression. Hate crimes remain alarmingly common. Mental health crises among LGBTQIA youth, especially trans youth, are on the rise, often due to social rejection and systemic discrimination. In this context, the call to be welcoming is not a matter of politeness. It is a matter of spiritual survival and moral urgency. To be welcoming means standing on the side of love, not just in words, but in deeds. It means using our platform as a faith community to speak out against injustice, to advocate for inclusive policies, and to show up for the LGBTQIA+ people when they are under attack. It means preaching sermons that affirm all identities, creating worship experiences that reflect diverse love stories, and holding space for grief, celebration, and resistance. It also means examining our own blind spots. Even within progressive spaces like ours, there can be unintentional exclusion and biases. Centering white, cisgender, able-bodied voices is a pattern we must actively unlearn. Being welcoming must be intersectional, recognizing that queer people of color, disabled LGBTQIA+ folks, immigrants, and others at the margins face compounded oppression. Welcoming is not a single act. It is a posture, a way of being. It is spiritual hospitality practiced over and over again. As we reflect on Pride Month, may we recommit ourselves to building communities where everyone, regardless of gender identity, sexual orientation, or any other facet of who they are, is not only accepted, but cherished. Let us live our UU values out loud with open hearts and unwavering love.